Sometimes I wonder why I'm just so blessed. Like God really just keep on blessing me, and it's not fair to you hoes. Y'all fucking it up for bitches like me. Bad bitches. Bitches with self-esteem. Yes, I indulge in talking shit.
Welcome back to the Diamonds Dosage podcast. This is your girl Diamond, and I'm sitting here with a guest. Her name is Shamerea, and we're gonna get into some things today. Like, this topic today is a little heavy. It is something that has been brought up in our generation as far as generational curses, and like, what are generational curses, and how do they serve us, and how do they neglect us? What do they actually do for us, and what the fuck are they? Shamerea.
Yes. Hey.
Okay. Let's introduce yourself a little bit for my audience.
Hey, everybody. My name is Shamerea Richards. I am an educator. I taught in high schools and elementary schools for a long time. I am an influencer. I have a show called The Scoop with Shamerea. Season 4 is loading. And I also am I don't like to say that pretty much, but I'm like a...
Why don't you like to say that?
I'm funny. Sorry, that's some kind of comedian. So an influencer, kind of like...
She's very funny.
Stuff. Whoop, whoop. And I'm also known as that motherfucker. So my pronouns are she, her, that bitch. However you want to get into it. But
okay,
yes.
so I'm sitting here with that bitch. And we are actually going to talk about a serious topic today. This is something that has been like really heavy on my heart. And I think that as we're becoming, this society has really focused a lot on consciousness and a lot on generational trauma and our ancestors and our family history, and I'm so grateful for that. So today, we're going to get into some things, y'all. So generational curses. Generational curses are something that is passed down from you, that is inhibited from your family members, something that is basically sinful, or something that has been passed down to you that is necessarily does not serve you or your family. These are the things that you are taught in the household, as far as, you know, how you communicate, how you love on one another, how you teach one another. These are things that are passed down to you. And it's like a lot of stuff has been passed down to us that does not feed us at all whatsoever. And it's time to really just stop and put an end to these generational curses and into the way we've been treated over generations. And you know what? It's so funny because it takes 3 generations to break a generational curse.
Wow, 3.
3. So what does a generational curse mean to you?
Honestly, I really didn't get into generational curses, like really figuring them out until like high school. I had a really, really good like history African-American teacher, and she was really big on making sure we understood the background of our ancestry and generational. And I was like, I started putting 2 and 2 together, making it 6. I'm like, okay, well, let me start.
6.
No, I really did. And start figuring out my own household. And then when I was in college, my bachelor's is in corporate comm. I had to take a family communication class, and for that class, you had to study a family member, your relationship with the
Who
family
did you
member.
study?
I studied my mom.
Interesting.
My mother is only 16 years older than me, and when you grow up with a parent who is also growing up, you don't really understand that until you take 2 steps back. So in that class, I was able to look at not only me and her relationship, but look at her relationship with my grandmother, and look at the relationship between my grandmother and my great-grandmother. And I started to realize, like, it's some shit that don't need to happen in my life.
Yes.
And I broke that down really quickly, but it's not that easy for everybody. And I really need people to understand that.
Say that again. It's not that easy.
It's not easy. It's really, really hard to own up to you and your family shit. And not a lot of families want you to.
And I just want to say one thing. The fact that you said that your mother and your grandmother, because when we're in the womb, we actually experience the trauma of our mothers.
That's crazy.
We actually experience all of the emotions of our mothers and our grandmothers. I I think it is so important for parents who are expecting or new parents to understand that your child can feel every single emotion that you're feeling. They can feel when you're hopeless. They can feel when you're fearful. They can feel when you're angry. And I think that is just so important, especially while you're pregnant, to understand that you're passing down these emotions and this bitterness or whatever, the resentment to your child. And that is where generational curses even begin, because generational curses are failures or things that inhibit us or, stand in the way of us achieving our goals as far as emotional abuse, physical abuse, poverty. Like, all of these things play into generational curses. And it's just like, if we can just stop these curses, it would be lovely. It would be lovely. But the thing is, trauma doesn't miss anyone. It doesn't miss anyone. And the fact that you grew up with a mother who was still kind of raising herself is really, really deep to me. That's very deep, because she was 16 years old.
Yep. My mother, I really didn't realize that was an issue until like I was 18. And I wondered how we used to get into it all the time, because she was a growing adult and I was a growing teenager. And now that I'm a teacher, I see a lot of growing teenagers, and then I see young parents too.
You know what? That's a good point. Do you see any generational curses in your students? Do you see
absolutely
any kind of trauma or hurt in your students? What do you see?
I can tell by the way a student carries themselves who runs the household. I could tell if a mother runs a household. I could tell if a father is there and runs a household. I could tell if that student is running that household themselves. And I could tell that honestly by the way they carry themselves. And that's not even something that we all don't understand. It's just something that we don't think about twice about. Like, we don't think twice about that. I myself am the oldest of 5. I know how I carry myself. I carry myself like I'm a second parent. Like, I take it. I'm like the parent of my friends.
Can't relate.
I care about everybody around me. I'm very nurturing. And a person who comes from a household where you have a growing parent and you are the oldest sibling, you're naturally like that. So when I see that in my students, I always tell them that whatever your parents are going through, this is still your life. I let them know that now, because I know it was not a lot of people telling me that, because I was unaware. So I always try to make sure it's my due diligence.
That's a curse that we need to break. The fact that you had to be a fucking parent.
Yeah. But
that's insane to me.
African American households it's usually the oldest sibling is taking care of the household in some way. I've seen younger siblings literally naturally take care of their younger siblings because they feel like they have to or they need to. I only see that really in the African American household. And I worked in a private school system where I saw African Americans more. I saw Latinos and Hispanic communities more. In the minority communities, you being the oldest sibling or just a sibling in general who has to take care of the household, you're like that. And we're not taught.
That's so fucked up. That's so fucked up, because I would be so fucking pissed at my mom right now if she made me take care of my younger siblings, or if I had to, take my siblings outside with me. Girl, what?
You have to think about this though, Diamond. There are some people who are okay with having to take that lead. And because they feel like it's necessary for them to take the lead in their household, it's not necessarily that they don't want to still have a childhood or anything like that. They have no choice.
They have that responsibility.
And then, don't talk back in the household of a black woman.
Ooh,
girl, please, you'll get your ass beat. Then that comes where you're fearful of your parent.
Yes.
And then you don't want to ever talk to them again.
You know what? Let's get into this. Let's get into this. Yes. Because parents like to instill fear into their child instead of obedience.
Yes.
And they don't understand the difference between the two. Whoopings. If you know me, do you know I'm totally opposed to whoopings, because I feel like they're not effective towards our children. Period.
They not.
I feel like they don't instill any value into our children. I don't care. You hit a child, they're gonna think that's the solution that they have to solve. You know what I'm saying? Like the solution that they need to have for each of their conflicts. That is not how you discipline a child. And they're going to be like, oh, Diamond, you don't even have kids. What the fuck are you doing? Like, you know what I mean? Like, but still, evidence shows the fact that it's not necessarily progressive discipline a child in that way. How do you feel about whoopings?
I'm not with the whoopings, G. I'm my oldest sibling. I had to whoop my sisters and brothers' ass.
You had to whoop your siblings?
I had to break them niggas down. But it's not about, for me as a person who will be a future parent, as an instructor, as an educator, I've seen students get their ass whooped in front of me.
That's insane to me.
I've seen students fucking hit their parent, though. I've seen it both ways, and it's toxic. It creates a boundary where a child therefore removes themselves backwards in the household.
Yes.
Instead of them going forward with communication, privacy, all of that shit is over. As early as 8 years old, that's when you create the fear inside of a kid. So I just need parents to really understand that there are other forms of discipline that can go. But as a person who will be a future parent, I know that whoopings they're just not.
They're non-progressive.
It's not progressive at all.
They're not progressive.
Beating your child in public places like restaurants and going out, it literally shows other people like, that you don't know.
Wait, what Cat Williams say?
You don't know how to take care of your kid.
Wait. Cat Williams said some funny ass shit.
I'm not finna.
He was like, you want some Skittles? He was like, you want some motherfucking Skittles? And it's like, that shit is not okay.
It's not okay. We can kiki and ha-ha. But I'm not.
The thing is, so many parents think that whoopings are okay because they were why I think this, because I had made like a public service announcement, as I always do, and people were saying, like, they were coming from me like, this girl is crazy, like, why does she think that whoopings are non-progressive? And whoopings are non-progressive because you're teaching your child to deal with conflict in a way that is violent. You're solving something that is detrimental with violence. And it doesn't make sense. To me, it just does not make sense. And it causes mental health effects on these children.
You have students that will lie and say that they don't have parents when they get into any conflict so that they won't get their parent called because they already know what the consequences of their actions are. They know that they're going to get their ass beat. And then there was I can't even think of a study, but I think it was from an Ivy League school. They did a study on whoopings, and those students, the percentage of students that, I think it was like 59% of those students that do get like abused in homes, they are the students that are usually in fights at school.
Exactly.
Because you're showing them like you need attention. And then like that goes with mental health. Like if you are showing your student, your child, like, this is the fear that I have. I'm authoritative against you. I am in authority. I'm in charge. And if you do something, this is the consequence of your action. That creates that fear. That creates that boundary where they're not going to communicate to you when they have an issue. They're not going to tell you when they're in fear of someone else because they fear you.
Of being beat. And this is why I try to tell parents all the time. They always be like, Diamond, like I said once again, who the fuck do you think you are to speaking on this and you don't have children? But the thing is, like, I've read so much about the negative effects of whoopings, and whoopings cause children to do things in silence. And they silence themselves. And they're still doing these things, but it's in a really sneaky manner. And it's like, the thing, parents need to understand that hitting your children is just not effective. It's not. It's not effective at all. And it causes them to have severe mental health issues in the future. The longevity of whoopings is just not, progressive. It's not beneficial to our society. And I would love if parents stopped whooping their children. I really would.
Talk to your kids.
And I also think, thank you. And I also think that it's a slave mentality as well. And it's like, that runs deeper, of course. But I do think that it stems from slavery. And talking to your kids is more beneficial than hitting them.
You should ask your child what's going on.
How is inflicting pain? How is inflicting pain something that is progressive?
I know people who don't even say hi to their kid when they walk in the door. Like, you don't even ask your kid, like, if they had a good day.
If they had a good day at school.
I know people who do that, and they family members.
That goes back to generational curses. So we're going to get more into generational curses and actually what it means and, like, some examples of generational curses, because what the fuck is that shit? it's deep, y'all. It's really deep. Generational curses are like sinful things, like alcoholism, drug use, poor communication, emotional neglect. Like, does your mom and your dad show you affection?
Can I get a hug?
Like the judging of it. Like, does your parents judge you? Like, because that's how a lot of people don't feel comfortable going to their parents, because they fear judgment. Like, a lot of that stuff is generational curses and like mental abuse and like the verbal abuse. Like, have you ever witnessed anything like that? Have you ever seen anything like that?
Yeah. Well, personally, one thing that made me tell myself that I wasn't going to have in my own self, like in my own family, that I noticed when I was doing like the research on me and my mother's relationship, was alcoholism. There's a big like thing of alcoholism in my family that nobody really understood. Everybody just liked to party. That's how they did it. Like, this the party house, your mama house, the party house.
So it would be glamorized.
It's very glamorized. It's very my mother grew up in the 70s. I mean, the 70s. So all of that type of fun was considered fun. But then you have a parent that you can't communicate with because she wanted, or they want to take a drink. And that was passed down to my mother from my great-grandmother. My great-grandmother used to have these lavish parties where drugs and cocaine and liquor,
that
champagne.
Like a party.
I mean, it was a party for real. So much that she forgot she had a fucking kid. So, you have to realize, like, when I noticed that, when I was in college, I started to peep, like, oh shit, the people around me are coping, using this as a coping
It's like,
mechanism.
Are you coping or are you living?
No, it's usually people, 99.9% of people usually are just coping with the shit that's going on in their life. So I told myself, like, I will only drink occasionally. Like, you're not about to see me come home and go for a bottle.
Do you feel like you're, like, the person that's to break generational?
Hell motherfucking
the thing is, I feel like I'm the person to break generational curses in my family. Do you feel like you're the person to break generational curses in your family?
In my mother's family, yeah. But my uncles, I think my uncle and my aunt. No, I think my uncle is the one who really broke it. But for my mother, for me and my siblings, it's definitely me. I'm the first first college graduate in my family. I'm the first, like, I don't know. I don't like to say I'm a success yet because I'm not in my own definition. I'm successes on GD. But like, I'm always pro therapy. I'm pro communication. I'm pro affection. I'm pro whatever the fuck you going on. Express it. When I walk in my mama's house, I'm giving hugs and kisses. What's up? What's up? I'm giving, how you doing, baby? How you feeling? I'm always asking my mama how her spirit is. She be looking at me like, "Ooh, spirit, you is crazy." No, bitch, how your spirit doing?
Yes.
You fighting demons today?
The thing is, I am huge, like, on affection now, especially, like, in my intimate relationships with men, because I wasn't really an affectionate person because my family was non-affectionate. Like, I had no clue what the fuck affection even meant. Like, I love you. What the fuck does that even mean? I had no clue of what that meant, and it's because that's a generational curse as well. Like, not showing your children that affection, not showing them that you really love them, not verbally expressing them, because you could be expressing it in actions, but are you expressing it verbally?
Yeah.
And that comes down to love languages as well, because some of your children, they love differently as well. But I am a person of affirmation, so I need to be heard. I need to hear, like, I love you.
Yes.
I need to hear that. Yes. I need to hear that. And that's a generational curse as well, like the lack of affection and the lack of communication. Like, I always felt so judged, like, if I had to come to my mom about something, because she was always this person of, like, perfection. And, like,
which is unrealistic as hell.
It's unrealistic, and it's like I felt so judged coming to her, talking to her about certain things, and about, like, boys and, like, sex and, like, things like that, because I never felt accepted.
That's crazy. I'm the opposite. My mom was extremely communicative. She was like everything communication wise, but she was more like no affection.
My mom always taught me to, like, suppress and, like, hide, like.
That's crazy.
To, like, not let people know everything about you and, like, be this mysterious person and, like, don't let people see like your flaws and like what's going on behind closed doors. Like, and I'm trying to unbreak that right now. It's really hard for me because I've been taught this my whole life. So it's like hard for me to show people who I truly am and like to be vulnerable with people.
I've been friends with Diamond for almost 10 years.
My bitch, I'm phoning him.
I'm phoning him grave. And the last couple of years, like us unpacking each other and all of that stuff and growing with each other, we really have been more like, she's more affectionate now, y'all. She give you hugs and kisses and tell you what she doing and stuff. Before you was like, damn, is Diamond alive? Let me see. She don't text you for 3 days or call you. But I think the biggest thing, like we always talk about this, is pro therapy. Super pro therapy.
I have not been to therapy, y'all.
Night chat, she's going though, 2020 goal. But
Ty is on me about it, Ty.
It's really, I started going to therapy when I was younger. And then I went back in college, and I didn't even realize that I was going through like depression, anxiety, all of that as a first-generation college student, because I couldn't really talk to nobody about school besides the people I was in school with. Like, my mom ain't know shit about me.
Right, and I was the first generational college student as well. And it's like,
well, graduates
you
now.
cannot relate to me.
You can't relate, and it's not that I feel like I'm better than you. It's just like we can't relate, so how can I express something without feeling like I'm above you or you're beneath me? So I had to go to therapy, and now as an adult, I think one of the best things I did was go back to therapy, because right now my therapist is the shit. You know what I'm saying? But you need somebody who you could talk to, who can give you some advice that's literally on the outside of your world. We have people who tell you things that are inside of your world, that know you, that know your mama, your cousin, yourself. And it's really, really rewarding to step out of your world and go to somebody who really doesn't know you, only your name and your social security probably.
So they're not biased.
Very not.
What do you
unbiased.
feel like is a generational curse that has been passed down in your family? Like, what is something that stands out, like that's very prominent in your family?
Oh, that's a good one. I said it before. I said it, affection. But now it's getting better now that I'm older and I'm able to like be more communicative with my other family. But before, when I was growing up, girl, please, it was like come over each other's house. We'll speak when we walk in the door, of course. Don't nobody play them games. But it was not like, only person who would really show affection was my Uncle Andy, my favorite uncle, and my tunkle, my Auntie Jean. Like, she was so affectionate that I didn't really need to. My tunkle, somebody asked what a tunkle is. That's my auntie uncle.
A stud.
That's a stud. That's my tunkle. Yeah, I made that up. Don't steal my shit. It's copywritten.
My tunkle.
My tunkle. Don't ever try to disrespect my tunkle up in here. Y'all not finna disrespect my tunkle. Y'all not finna. My auntie uncle. Y'all not finna disrespect my tunkle.
When I say I'm fucking weak, not tunkle. Not Tunkle, if you listening out there. Tunkle,
my Tunkle, hey, I swear to God, that's one of the most hardworking, fiends of a life. My auntie is like my world, G. When I was in grade school, she used to call every birthday. She never missed my birthday. Even now that I'm an adult, she has never missed a birthday. She will call me. She used to call on the intercoms at Eastern, G. I don't even know how she called old man. She used to call Eastern.
So beautiful.
To tell people it was my birthday. Like, if I knew wasn't nobody gonna tell me happy birthday, my Tunkle was. She don't play. She don't miss a holiday. She don't miss a birthday.
Hey,
I love
this
you.
Word is cute. Hey,
on phone them, if anybody got a stud auntie or uncle, call him as Tunkle. And you know it's from Shamerea. Period.
Do you think that some ways of thinking have been passed down to you as well? Because some of the ways that my mother thinks has been passed down to me, like as far as men, like I really don't even. I'm sorry, Mom, if you listening to this. Like,
sorry, Sonya. Sonya, I love you. Sonya, I love you.
I gotta let them know what the fuck is up.
Stop, Crystal.
She like the way that she thinks about men. I honestly feel like that has effect on me, but like. It's kind of a negative point of view. Do you think that some ways of thinking has been passed? First of all, I need you to stop nodding your motherfucking head. Do you think that some ways of thinking have been passed down to you?
My mother was extremely independent, like so bad, like. It was so
to the point where she felt like she didn't need nobody.
Yeah, to the point she didn't need nobody. Like when you a parent at a young age like that, my mother went straight. She's a Leo woman. She is the queen of her household. She don't play no fucking games. I've never seen my mama stressed about no
What's
money.
your zodiac, by the way?
I'm a Capricorn.
Okay,
sun.
make that money. Make that money.
I am a Leo moon, and I am
I
a
ain't
Gemini
all that.
rising. If y'all want to get into my chart, but my mother showed me. Since I'm a Capricorn and she's a Gemini. I mean, since she's a Leo, we bumped heads with authority, of course. You know, that's what I'm saying. But at the same time, one thing we saw eye to eye on was our ambition.
Yes.
My mother set a goal and she accomplished it, and that's something that I used to take into counter. But something that was passed down negatively was breaks. My mother don't know how to take a break. She don't know how to stop. You know, there are pit stops in your journey, and there are pit stops in your life, and people think that just because you're on a journey, you can't take a stop.
Yes.
Oh, I'm moving. I'm in life. I'm going. This shit good. This shit bad. I got to keep going. I got to keep going. This life. No. I know what Janine said. She said you got to keep going. You actually need to stop.
Yes.
You need to listen to yourself, listen to your surroundings, listen to God, listen to your body, and stop. And that's one thing that I really didn't realize until I had an anxiety attack.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, shit, I'm just going. I'm not stopping. And it's okay for me to stop. And I was like, okay, I can't be like my mama with this. Like, my mother never took a stop until she had a heart attack. And she was like, oh, shit, maybe I should stop.
And the thing
no,
is,
I'm not trying to have a heart attack.
It's so funny because physical health is actually a generational curse as well. Like, health is a generational curse. And, like, how your family members take care of themselves. It affects you.
That's what they actually at the doctor.
This is why it's so important to be cognizant of what happens in your family and like what's going on in your family, you guys. Like, this is so important. Like, generational curses run 3 generations deep, 3 or 4 generations deep, and it's like, please be that person to be aware and to speak up for your family, like to speak up for yourself, and like what is working for you and your family and what's not working for you and your family. What do you feel like trauma? Like, I feel like trauma is inevitable. Like, it's something that we're all going to experience, whether it's something that's something that's small or something that's large. We're all going to experience trauma. How do you feel like trauma has affected your dating life?
Oh, that's a good one. When you go through a traumatic experience, just 9 times out of 10 people don't know it's a traumatic experience.
Yes.
So it's really important that you dissect that trauma or all experiences. I feel like people need to be going backwards in their lives and figuring out, okay, what's traumatic? What's something that I love about my life? What's something that needs to work on? Or what's something that was bad or traumatic? Because usually people don't understand what a traumatic experience is.
Traumatic experience is something that triggers an emotional response to you.
Yeah.
If you're triggered and your emotions start to rise and your face starts to flush and you start to feel angry, you start to feel sad, you have trauma.
Yep.
You have trauma. If you start to think about something and it responds in an emotional way, you have trauma.
Boom, you got drama. I think that for me, just seeing others with the way that their relationships were with their mother. I think I started following this girl on Instagram like years ago, and her mother wrote a book together, and I'm like, damn, that's some cold ass shit. I want to write. My mother is really, really down to earth. She cool as fuck, and then I'm like, I really want to have that type of relationship with my mother, because people don't really understand. Like, it's daddy issues, but there are mommy issues too.
Yes.
There are women that are going through mommy issues. There are men that have mommy issues as well.
Yes.
But daddy is always the first nigga that come up. Like,
was your father in the picture?
No, not
Do you feel
after
like
I was
that
10.
affected you? Do you feel like that affected you?
Not really. Yeah, to a certain extent. I wrote a poem when I was in college.
Like, we're talking about our dating life right now. How has that affected your dating life?
I never looked at a man and been like, oh, I need him because I want him to be my daddy. Like, I never did that.
A lot of women do.
I feel sorry, but I praise God. I'm going to pray for y'all. But I look at men differently. I look at a man as a love. You know, I want to be in love. I'm capable of loving. I want to be married one day. That's why I don't have any children. Like, I want to get married. I want to have a family. So I look at men as I want to be catered to.
Okay.
I'm very deserving of love, and I'm very acceptable.
Do you feel like trauma
love.
has affected your dating life once again?
No.
Really?
No, I don't allow it to. Period.
Okay.
I don't allow that shit.
I just want to say that 98% of our DNA is made up of our trauma and our emotional responses. I want to say that again because 98%. of our DNA is made up of our emotional responses and our trauma, and 2% is only physical. I want people to understand how deep that is. 98% of your DNA is made up of your emotional trauma, which is passed down from your family curses and your mom and your grandmother. Shamerea.
Yes. It was a
I need you to ask me 5 questions, 5 ambush questions. Go ahead.
Boom. What do you feel most proud of?
Oh my goodness.
I
got some good ass pussy.
All right. If you
No. I'm kidding.
Yeah. All right.
I'm fucking kidding.
All right, I'm waiting. Let's get this. Let's go.
I am honestly most proud of just me being able to be who I am in front of the world. Like, literally. Like, I'm most proud of that.
That was beautiful.
Next.
If you could travel anywhere, where would you go?
I want to go to Hawaii so bad.
Why?
I don't know. Like, something is, like, urging me to go to Hawaii. Like, I have no clue what this urge is, but I want to get laid.
Oh, the lay. That was a good one. Cultural. Shout out. What teacher in school made the most impact on you and why?
Mrs. Brown, my 3rd grade teacher.
3rd grade?
Well, no. I'm sorry. 4th grade. 4th grade teacher. She was a black woman. So it was my first black woman teacher. And she made me like her teacher's pet. And it was like, oh, okay, this black woman values me. And ever since then, she's always been my favorite teacher because she was a black woman.
Beautiful. If you won the lottery, what would you do?
First of all, I'm paying off all my student debts. And I'm giving the rest of my money, like, I'm just giving it out. I'm like giving it out to my family, giving it out to charities, my friends, like people that I fuck with. Like, we're gonna ball.
I'm so excited because I'm one of her friends. Win the lottery, scratch
we
off.
Gonna ball.
Scratch off. Scratch off. What feels like love to you?
Ooh, love is being myself. Love is being comfortable. Love is being nurturing. Love is caring after one another. Love is understanding who one another truly is, their value, their core value of who they really are. Love is really growth. Growth as well, like growing with somebody.
Is that my last? This is my last question.
Okay.
What age do you feel right now, and why?
What age do I feel?
Right now, what age?
Wow, that's a different type of question. I feel like I'm really 21, but I'm lying because I'm not 21.
How do you feel?
I feel 21. I feel 21. Like, I got so much shit going for me. I have so much shit out here in this world to discover. I'm living my motherfucking life. I'm doing my thing. Dating these niggas. My friends, we popping bottles out here. Like, we really doing our thing out here.
Bottles are popping.
Bottles.
Dun, 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 dun. Thank you, Diamond.
Thank you so much for coming, Shay. Thank you for the ambush segment. And we're going to wrap it up with the mental health tip of the day. And the mental health tip of the day is not necessarily a tip, but more so a question that leaves you lingering. Do you guys feel like it's necessary to cut certain family members off?
Yes.
Do you feel like certain family members stagnate your growth?
Yeah.
Do you feel like they don't understand who you truly are? Like,
yes.
and what you're trying to do in this world? Do you feel like finding spirituality is something that can help you break generational curses?
Yes.
Do you feel like God can really help and reveal what generational curses are? I want to thank you guys so much for coming and tuning into the Diamond Dosage podcast. Generational curses is something that's very heavy, but it's something that is very necessary. And I want to thank you guys once again for tuning into this podcast and work on your family dynamics. Understand where you guys come from. Understand what trauma you're holding on to. Understand where your trauma actually stems from. Understand your mom. Understand your dad. Understand your siblings. Understand yourself. I think it's very important to understand where we come from and where we stand at in this world. It helps us navigate in every aspect of our life, our career, our friends, our family, our relationships. Understand what generational curses are holding you back. All right, Shamerea, thank you so much for coming on to the Diamond Dosage podcast as an educator, as a Black woman. Thank you so much for extending yourself to the Diamonds Dosage podcast and speaking on your personal values and your personal attributes of generational curses. Where can my audience find you?
First of all, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Scoop, SCOOPW, Shamerea, which is SHAMEREA, Scoop with Shamerea. Ow, that's it.
Period. Pooh. And let these people know what you do for the last time, the one time.
Again, my name is Shamerea Richards. I am an educator, an influencer, and a web series host.
Thank you so much for joining the Diamonds Dosage podcast.
Yes. Thank you.